Hello and welcome to the Live Stake Collection Leader Training. The purpose of this video is to outline the steps that are necessary to any live stake collection, as well as how to successfully manage and run your own collection. Here's a brief outline of the video. First, I'll go over the supplies that are necessary for a collection. This is what will be provided to you when you run a collection in partnership with the Live Stake Cooperative. Then I'll go over how you should set up for a live stake collection once you're on site. Next, we'll go over some important information you should relay to volunteers as you're teaching them about live staking, followed by the proper methods for collecting stakes. Then, equally as important, we'll demonstrate how to package stakes after they've been cut. And finally, we'll go over some successful workflow options and useful tips for managing volunteers. Make sure to pay close attention. There will be a quiz to complete at the end of the training. Let's begin. Included in your live stake collection kit are the following: loppers to cut branch sections off of your tree or shrub, pruners to cut any smaller branches, twigs, or leaves off of your branch section, 5-gallon buckets to carry your stakes in as you collect, trash bags to store your stakes in as you package them up, rubber bands to hold bundles of stakes together, also for packaging, duct tape to use in case you run out of rubber bands, which you'll see an example of later, face masks, gloves, safety glasses, and safety vests to ensure your volunteers feel safe and comfortable during collection, spray paint to mark the stakes before packaging to identify their species, rice holes to help the stakes retain moisture after packaging without floating them in standing water, bag tags to label each trash bag after it's full of properly packaged stakes, packaging tape to secure the tag to the bag, tree identification guides to help you and your volunteers with tree identification on site, liability release forms for volunteers to sign, and lastly, collection leader instructions to help you along the way in case you need a reminder of what you've learned today. Once you're at the site of your collection, you can set up some supplies to prep for your volunteers. We recommend pulling out your loppers, pruners, and buckets for each of them to take one of each. As you begin to tell your volunteers about live staking, there are a few key things to mention. First off, be careful. We want everyone to have a positive experience, and that means no injuries. The last thing we want is for someone to be cut with the loppers or pruners. Then you can give them some background to live staking and its impact and importance. Live stakes are used to plant riparian forest buffers. These are streamside plantings of trees and shrubs that benefit the water quality of the stream they're planted adjacent to. These benefits include stream bank stabilization. These live stakes will grow into fully viable trees and their root systems will help to stabilize the stream bank. Riparian forest buffers also work to slow down rainwater runoff as it approaches the waterway. Slower runoff water is able to seep into the ground, and nutrients that are being carried by the water can be taken up by the plant root rather than polluting the waterway. You should also be sure to tell your volunteers to only collect stakes from trees that have been flagged or have been identified as one of the species you are collecting. Now let's move on to the methods of collecting live stakes. First, volunteers should identify a tree of whatever species they are assigned to collect. Teams should only collect one species at a time because 5-gallon buckets should only ever hold one species at a time. Next, they will cut a branch from the tree or shrub using the loppers that is at least ½ inch in width. Our stakes should be between ½ inch and 1.5 inches in thickness. Once the branch has been cut, use the pruners to remove any leaves or smaller twigs from the branch. Cut the bottom of the branch at a 45-degree angle. Note, the bottom is the end that is closer to the base. Stick the bottom of the branch in the 5-gallon bucket and cut the top of the branch flat at the height of the bucket. This is super important, and you should explain to your volunteers why. There are chemicals in the plant that tell it to grow roots and to grow buds and leaves once we plant it in the ground at the buffer. If the stake is planted upside down, the chemicals will travel the wrong direction and the stake will lose at least one entire growing season to reorient these chemicals before it's able to grow. Continue to collect stakes of the same species until the bucket is full. Also, oftentimes a branch is long enough and thick enough to harvest more than one stake, so don't waste what you've already cut. Just be sure that the bottom is cut at an angle and the top is cut flat to the height of the 5-gallon bucket. Once your bucket is full, bring it to the packaging crew. Once you've got enough stakes to start packaging, I suggest recruiting a team of 2 collectors to help you package stakes. First, count out 20 stakes of one species. Lay them out so all the tops are facing one way and all the bottoms are facing the other. Refer to the last page of your collection leader instructions to know what color you should spray paint these stakes based off of their species. Spray paint the tops of the stakes with one pass. Note, try to use a piece of cardboard or the lid of a plastic bin so that you don't leave spray paint marks on the site. Give the spray paint a moment to dry and then use 2 rubber bands, one on each end, to secure the bundle of 20 stakes together. Place the bundle in a trash bag. You can add 5 bundles of 20 stakes each to a trash bag, totaling 100 stakes in a bag. Bundles should consist of the same species. Do not put 2 different species in the same bundle or in the same trash bag. Don't even mix dogwoods with other dogwoods and willows with other willows. Silky dogwood, for example, should be bundled and bagged separately from red osier dogwood. Once a bag is full with 5 bundles, equaling 100 stakes, it's time to add the rice hulls. Add about a gallon of water to one of your buckets and add your rice hulls. You need enough to add about 6 to 8 handfuls of wet rice hulls to each bag of stakes. Grab a handful of the wet rice hulls, squeeze a bit of the excess water out, and throw them into your full bag of stakes. Next, you're going to fill out your bag tag with the correct date, collection site name and county, species of stakes in your bag, and number of stakes in your bag. Ideally, the number is 100, but there will likely be an odd amount left over at the end. Typically, we send volunteers back out just to collect enough stakes so that we can still make an even bundle of 20, even if the last bag does not have the full 100 stakes. Use the packaging tape to secure the bag tag onto the trash bag. Lastly, close the bag using rubber bands if you have them, or duct tape as shown as an alternative here. To maximize efficiency during your collection, this is the workflow dynamic that we recommend. Have volunteers work in teams of 2 to go out and collect stakes. One pair of partners should be focused on collecting one species at a time. As pairs of partners are working, it can be helpful for you as the leader to walk around with empty buckets and switch out their bucket full of stakes with an empty one. Once you have some full buckets, this is a good time to recruit one partner team to help you with packaging. As mentioned earlier, most of these details can be found in the collection leader instruction packet, which will be part of your live stake kit. We are so looking forward to you being a part of our collection team. Thank you.